So, Johnny, I was going to ask you, what is Slacker?
So Slacker is a tool I invented in 2012. It was just a tool that I needed to set up my suspension. My buddy, my riding buddy, was a flake. He was never around. I was obsessed with my getting my YZ 450 to turn right. So it's just a tool that I really needed, and I ended up inventing it in 2012. And it really just allows you to take measurements on the suspension and make adjustments, see the measurements right on the handlebars, so you could do it all yourself, and you don't end up waiting for your buddy all day.
Absolutely. I love that because usually I'm at the track by myself. I do all the maintenance here by myself. And so it's been hard for me to try and figure out how to set up my sag in the past, especially because sadly I was using a tape measure and trying to convert all the measurements and everything and try and work through that. And then having my wife there was even more of a struggle trying to do that with her. So
Yeah.
having having that digital tool by yourself is since I've used it, it's been remarkable and helped me a ton. So that's awesome that that's how it kind of started for you. What else is your story with motocross and dirt bikes and just like your history of the whole sport in general?
Well, I used to race back in the 80s. I raced motocross and desert racing. We got a race at Loretta's, or not Loretta's, we did Ponca City. That was like the first couple of years of Loretta's. And then got a race, Indian Dunes, Saddleback, all that stuff. I was much better in the desert. I was just a beast on a CR 500. We'd gear that thing like 1443 to the moon and just go for it. That doesn't work at 56 years old, unfortunately. My brain doesn't work like that anymore. But I quit racing in 1986, went to technical school for computer electronics, couldn't afford dirt bikes, did a bunch of other stuff, became a network engineer by trade, Cisco certified network engineer, ran a managed services business until I invented this tool. And literally within a month after I invented the tool, my dad got sick and passed away. And I just realized that, life's so short. He had just been my age, taking me racing, and now he was dead, and I was the old guy now. So I just decided to pull the trigger, sold my business, and just went for it in 2012. Actually, early 2013, I just pulled the trigger, did all the engineering, sold my business, and then just literally jumped off a cliff and figured this would be a better direction for me, where I could do something more positive that would affect people's life, and just do something more important with my life than fixing people's emails and network problems.
Completely understand, and I did not know that about you, so I'm very sorry for your loss. But that is very cool that obviously, that was a big step in your life for what you've got here today. So that's really cool.
Yep, absolutely. It was the catalyst that made me decide life was just too short. And I know Dad would be blown away with what I've been able to do with the company in the last 10 years. I'm sure he'd be proud.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know anyone that wouldn't be proud of this product. I mean, these products that you guys have created are honest. I seriously can't even believe that this wasn't something that we've had, beforehand, because this is like a game changer for, I'd say, any rider out there. I don't think a lot of people realize how much sag comes into play with riding and your cornering ability, just your overall suspension work, and that simple little thing can drastically change so much. And then having a tool as easy and as awesome and user friendly as a Slacker, I mean, I can't imagine he wouldn't be proud. It's pretty incredible what you've created. So,
Awesome.
um,
Thank you.
yeah, no, thank you. Seriously, very sorry about that, but obviously, like I said, this is what you've created, and it's truly incredible. And now you've got some pro riders out there, like major name pro riders that you're working alongside with.
Yep.
Who are some of the main guys you've got alongside you?
Well, this year we started. The big one for me has been we brought Jeff Emig on. He said the same thing. He couldn't believe he didn't have something like this in the 90s when he was racing, and he's super picky, a millimeter or two off, and he'll feel it instantly. So yeah, it's just been an honor to be able to work with such a huge, his brand. I was saying earlier, his brand is way bigger than my brand, and but he just brings so much to the table, and his enthusiasm for the tool just like lifts me up. It's so good to see somebody at that level appreciate and love something, your brainchild so much as that. And so yeah, it's been a crazy year. We're growing right now, and this is part of it, just getting out doing the media stuff. But yeah, he's been a huge part, and he'll be serving as our brand ambassador moving forward, and he's an active part of the company now.
Oh, that is so awesome to hear. He, as I mentioned earlier, has obviously done a phenomenal job at Loretta's this year and for the future races that he has coming up. And that does not surprise me at all that he can tell the difference in just a millimeter or so. Just amazes me with some of those pro riders what they can tell and kind of feel with a bike and just the minor little things like that. So that's
Yeah.
awesome to hear that he's a big brand ambassador for you guys and moving forward with that. So that's really cool to hear. So what are some main like events that you guys are hoping to, be a part of with him down the road or, maybe your own events yourselves? Are you guys going to host anything or work with Jeff through that?
Yeah, I think right now that we were just talking, we had a meeting with him and JH Leal, he's another partner of mine this morning. And we were just talking about, we'll probably be out at the Ricky Carmichael Supercross in Force. I think Jeff will be out there, and then I'll probably be out there as well. So I think that's the first big event we're doing together. I probably will do this fall. There's a great event that the Kurt Caselli Foundation does. I think it's December 7th this year, and they do the Kurt Caselli Ride Day. I probably will do that event. I did it last year and really enjoyed it. I don't know if Jeff will be able to do that at this short notice, and he's a pretty busy guy. But yeah, we're definitely planning on doing more of that going into 2025.
Oh, that is awesome. That is phenomenal to hear. Big events and, obviously big things happening for you guys. And like you had mentioned to me, here it is. Like this is that time. Things are rolling. You got some big names, you got some big work and obviously some again phenomenal products. I mean, I have the Slacker sitting here in front of me right now. For those that are watching, the product itself is truly incredible. I mean, I will speak volumes to good products all day, every day. And so I wanted to also ask you, I know that there's a lot of people out there who have just wanted to get involved in the moto industry one way or another, kind of learn, some of the ropes, see what it is. What steps or what maybe one tip would you give someone out there to getting into the industry or maybe just starting their own business?
Yeah, the motocross industry is like super accessible. I mean, you'd be amazed if you go and talk to Roger DeCoster, he'll probably talk to you. So I think that the biggest thing for people to know is that you're not walking in to Walmart or some huge institution. It's a really close-knit sport. I've met the owner of Alpine Stars and all kinds of people by just being standing in the pits, talking to people. So the best thing you could do is to just go talk to the teams, talk to the mechanics, riders, find your place. Are you trying to be a pro rider? Do you want to be a mechanic? You want to be a support crew? There's a tons of different options, but the big key is just being open, going and talking to those people, making the connections. That's really for me, like Ted Parks with TPJ. I
Hmm.
was bummed to see that he's retiring, but like he in the early days, he just called me, loved the tool, and wanted to support me, right? So
That's
it
awesome.
it I didn't go pay a bunch of money or have to know anybody fancy. The guy just liked the product and he liked me as a person. So that's really all that it took.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you have a great product like this and a great personality, it's kind of hard to beat that. So, well, that's really cool. That's I think one of the biggest things a lot of us, mostly from the fan side, I would say we look at the moto industry from the outside in as it looks like a giant whole ordeal, but it's really kind of nice to hear you say that just like a closer, well put together little family almost. So that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah, it is
awesome.
very close knit. And as far as like getting started, as far as small business stuff, if you want to get into the industry and do a small business, similar thing, but you got to have a good product, obviously. The only difference is you got to be just willing to go all the way to the mat. Like you got to really be willing to struggle for 5 to 10 years and not have money and sleep and live in the basement. You guys got to be ready for it. So you got to have thick skin. But I mean, if you think that you have that type of personality and you're a risk taker, I'd recommend it 100%. I work way more hours than I would at a job, probably make less money, but I'm way happier. I'm super independent. I've got control of my future, and super rewarding to come on a program like this and hear like how much people actually really enjoy the tool. I live in a box programming and doing product development. So to get out and hear that stuff is really, it's just awesome. It really lifts my spirit.
Oh, that's awesome, and honestly, that speaks volumes to your work and who you are as a person. Because, like you said, you got to have a little bit thicker skin for that. You know, the business world isn't for everyone, that's for sure. So that's truly awesome to hear, and I love the transparency too. That makes it a lot easier for a lot of people out there. Many people who go online and look up stuff. You know, anyone can click on a video that says, "Oh yeah, just do this," and boom, you're a millionaire, right? But
Yeah. It's
truthfully, it's awesome to
very
hear the truth.
complicated. Yeah, very complicated. I mean, I have Jeff Emig involved, J.H. Leal, who's that Ricky Carmichael's manager. I was just on a call with them. And even with all that, no, we're not just going straight to the millions. There's a lot of work to do. It's very complicated between patents, trademarks, building the business, running the business, just general business operations. Then you get to marketing, which is where you can really burn yourself. So, but I would also say don't underestimate yourself. Always believe in yourself and know that it is possible. I mean, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, I was just playing in bands and really didn't have the direction that I have now. I was running an IT business, playing in bands for fun. Once I got onto this and figured out it was a lot of work, but super rewarding, worth all the hard work, worth risking it all, when you get there. Sometimes you'll question it, but I would definitely say to anybody that thinks they got it, like go for it, believe in yourself, and don't limit yourself by thinking the market's so small, or you just really got to be flexible, get in and let it be what it is.
Absolutely. I love that, honestly, because like you said, if you've got it and you want it, it'll happen. And so that's really cool to hear. Well, with that, I also wanted to ask you one final question here about this.
Sure.
What's the bike you're riding nowadays?
I've got a Husqvarna FC 450.
Very
And
nice.
yeah, I love it. I had Craft Moto built the suspension. They did the revalve control. I can switch the valving and the forks from off-road to moto. It's
Jeez.
amazing, dude. It's the best suspension I've ever rode. But they just folded like 8 months ago. The owner just decided he was out for like no reason. So all the guys I knew were like, "Yeah, we're out."
Oh
So
no.
yeah, so I'll go. I know Mark and the guys at AEO. I'll have them do it. I just was so happy with that Crest suspension, but and the 450 at 56 years old, it's a little much. I'm thinking about going to a 350. But in the 80s, I always rode 500s, and my key was I would just lug it. I would ride a gear high and lug it, and I ride a 450 that same way. I try to keep corner speed up like a 125, ride a gear high. It works pretty good for me, but it wears me out pretty fast these days.
Oh man, I can only imagine. Riding 500s back in the day, I did not get to ride. I've never ridden a 500, I should say, but I didn't get the chance to do that. Kind of like the old school style of just the all out racing, how it used to be. And it's like, man, those 500s and even today's 450s, you're looking for some shoulder separation without a doubt. There, those things will take off from you, but.
Yeah,
That
handful.
Oh my goodness, yes. But that is super cool that you had that suspension, especially obviously for someone who's the suspension expert that you are with the SAG skill that you've created. It's just like again, truly incredible thinking about how we never really had this stuff before. And I'll show the tool itself again for people, but it's not that big. It's super small and just can fit right in the palm of your hand. It can stick right onto your bike, and you can just check your sag right then and there at any given point, and you can connect it to your phone. If you didn't have the control that sits on your handlebars, I mean, it's just the remote, I should call it. But my goodness, it's just truly incredible. Seriously, it's phenomenal product that you have created, and obviously a great company you're building right now because with the grit and the personality that you got, it shows that you've got what it takes for everything. So really
Nice.
do love
Thank
it.
you.
I do love this. So
Nice. That's so good to hear it. Yeah. And like for me, I think a lot of people think I'm super fast guy on the track and super serious, but I'm a lazy old man. And for me, like if the bike isn't set up right, it's the difference between getting a few laps in and leaving frustrated and riding all day and just really loving it and leaving inspired and excited. So for me, it's more about the bike not wearing me out and handling right and enjoying the experience. For Emig, it's about being fast and getting everything you can out of the bike. So I think for any level rider, for a play rider, all the way up, I mean, obviously, if the suspension is adjustable, you should be checking it and adjusting it regularly. Uh, Even if you use a tape measure and a buddy, that's fine. Just make sure that you do it right. This tool is just
Absolutely.
going to make it a no-brainer, super easy, simple, and fast. But there's still other ways to do it, and you just need to make sure because it's not only a performance issue, it's safety. So for like moto parents and kids, they get so overwhelmed, they don't know what to do. So to just know the bike set up properly is key, I think, for those people.
Absolutely. I could not agree anymore because I'll be completely honest. Whenever I was doing it with a tape measure, I would maybe do it one time and I'd say I'm done because it was so much of a hassle. It was so
Yeah.
much of a problem, and I just got so over it. I was getting annoyed with trying to see if I was even doing it correctly. And at that point, it exactly what you said. It was a safety issue because I didn't realize it at the time, but the SAG plays so much into your everyday riding, and I
Yep.
think people just don't truly understand that until they actually set their SAG properly. And that was one of those times I think for me. I was so frustrated all the time with the tape measure. I kept trying it over and over, and things were just not working correctly. And then eventually I said, all right, I'm done. And I went out, and I remember many times where I'd try and enter a corner or even exiting corners where the bike just didn't want to work with me. And
Yeah.
uh, sometimes with the ruts, it was almost like a bucking bronco ready to kick me off. So, and I know that sounds probably silly to some people who are out there listening and thinking that SAG isn't that big a deal, but it's definitely a big deal. So this
Yeah.
this tool has definitely made it easier, and I would definitely agree that, like you said, even if you just want to go out and have fun and ride, you'd much rather go and spend all day having fun riding than a couple laps getting mad and then leaving. So
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and sag is just so important because it dictates how the bike sits, the posture of the bike. I'll run more sag if the track's faster. It'll rake the forks out a little bit. It'll be more stable. You can run less sags. They run 100 millimeters. It'll turn better. And then it also affects the suspension performance because the further you get, if you run too much sag, it'll start getting really stiff in the initial part of the travel because it thinks it's getting closer to bottoming out. So it affects how the bike turns and handles, as well as how the actual suspension performs and where it sits in the stroke.
absolutely. Yeah, that's suspension can definitely get above my head from time to time. Just the how it can come across so complex, but how you just explained it can also be very simple. So
It can be with the right tools and a little bit of knowledge, you'd be blown away. And I tell you, for people that race, the biggest advantage you could have rolling into Loretta Lynn's is just to understand your suspension setup and get it right, because you could pour horsepower on an 85 all day. And I mean, like a 450 is way too much power for me. The bike has to handle right. So I think and once people do check it and get it right, they're sold. They will never not check their sag against once they get it right.
oh, for sure. Yes, I could not imagine the conditions of the track that Loretta's goes through and having off suspension. I can only imagine how horrible that would make your whole week. So,
Yeah, it would really make it a lot of extra work for you.
oh my goodness, without a doubt. Well, I do want to thank you very much for taking the time out of today. And I know people that are watching this didn't get to see it off camera, but of course, I came in with huge technical difficulties, and Johnny was incredibly patient with me and stayed along to still take time out of his busy schedule to do this. So, thank you very much, Johnny, for doing this. And seriously, thank you for the phenomenal products that you have created.
Yep, absolutely. No problem. I mean, we all start somewhere. I was struggling trying to get my stuff together for it and late because of meetings. So it's not a big deal. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thanks for having me. If people have general questions about the product or in general, like bike setup, any of that stuff, even entrepreneurship, I'm always available. Still answer all the emails and phones myself. And you could just go to the website at getslacker.com, and you'll have that. You can just click the email link. That'll go right to my phone in my pocket. So always happy to talk about bike setup, the tool, any of that stuff, or even help people that are interested in getting in the industry or starting a small business. I really enjoy helping people, so I'm always down with that stuff.
And that right there is awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is where you got to look right there. If you need the help, Johnny's right there. That's incredible to just be that open and willing with everyone in the community. So seriously, that is super cool to hear. And there you go, folks. If you really need any help whatsoever, sounds like Johnny's got all the answers for you. He's ready to go.
Yep. I'll do my best. If I can't answer it, tough luck.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
uh,
Well, perfect. Thank you very much.
yep, you got it. Thanks for having me on.